And we are live, and we will be back in 5. For those of you not aware of how I am, all right, I am back. We got a view of the sun here just today at 171 angstroms. And let me full screen that. See if I can blow it up a little bit bigger. There we go. Sunspot 2737. Not a very powerful sunspot. We do see some interesting ejecta there on the eastern limb. And sadly, I can't draw on the screen because what's going on here is I'm only able to share the application window, not my entire screen, thanks to Google Chrome browser software. Google Hangouts Chrome browser extension doesn't work right. So I've sent them a couple messages about it. And of course, I'm always looking for other open source software. I shouldn't say other open source software. I should say open source software because Google's is proprietary. You're not allowed to know what's in the code. Now this view, by the way, is just of today. So it's from 0 UT until the current time, or very close to the current time. So let's look at it in 304 angstroms as we see some ejecta coming off the eastern limb. It's like a straight line. Pretty funky. And there's that sunspot. Let's look at it in the colored magnetogram view. Give you an idea of what the magnetic environment's like. And we see actually the trailing magnetic field there did consolidate in the northern portion a little bit, but not a lot of mixing going on, so does not appear to be a high potential sunspot at this point. Look at the real-time solar wind here, make sure this is refreshed. It's supposed to do that by itself, but you can't take these things for granted. So we did see a little uptick in the solar wind about an hour ago, right around here. But it pretty much calmed right back down again. So 4 hours ago, we see a larger uptick in the solar wind right here. And this is standard fare coronal hole wind stream material because we see a dip in the density right before that uptick. So that's your standard coronal hole wind stream. Phi angle up at 283. And the BTBZ is pretty negative and pretty strong. So the T number is the strength of the field, and the Z number is the angle of the field, so to speak. Whether it's North Pole or South Pole, and there we just got an update. So it's dropping farther. That is an earthquake problem, although at least we don't see a 180-degree phi angle. And we did see a 6 magnitude quake. I can't always do show prep. I'm not the most interesting man in the world, and I can't always do show prep. But when I do, sometimes I know things. And let's look at solar ham. Not at that page, though. I want to look at the LASCO C2. And I clicked on the wrong thing. And my back button's not working. And I clicked on the wrong thing again. There we go. See some very much non-facing ejecta coming out of the eastern limb there. And a tiny bit out of the western limb, but mainly a little burst out of the east. Nothing too exciting there. Here's a gong 2. Is it the most recent? Oh, yeah. Are seeing some big undulations in that North Pole charged green area there. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on in the magnetic environment, except we're going to see some stronger lines over the next 24 to 36 hours. There's a last frame. So we're leaving a more dense plasma region in terms of magnetic connection and entering a more directly connected region. And we have been seeing some magnetometer spikes reflecting that. Going to look at spaceweather.com. as the 10.7 centimeter radial flux is back up to 71, I believe. So this just isn't updated yet. Ignore that entirely. Let's look at things like the X-ray flux and the electron flux in the F2 layer. So we see a little uptick in the X-ray flux just now, actually. And the reason I'm in the chat under my full name is because that's my work phone. And since I don't represent my employer in any way, I'm allowed. And while I'm not technically at that job, let's just say I do a lot of jobs. All right, so here's a magnetometer. Check it out. Some big perturbations there as we head out of that diffuse region of plasma and into a more direct connection with the sun. And on that note, let's get back to the images here. Look at the 93 angstroms view. Not the 93, the 193. That's it. All right, so we're in a serious situation here. We have a powerful B field going on, and we have the possibility of magnetic connection with these coronal holes. Not good as far as earthquake risk, and we already see an uptick out in the Aleutian Islands. We'll get to it. But anyway, there's a magnetometer. We've been seeing some characteristic electron dips, as we usually do with the coronal hole wind stream. As protons are getting the electrons they so desire. New viewers, if you're not aware, the solar wind is primarily made of protons, hydrogen nuclei, and then there are some other things in there also, such as helium nuclei. Some people call them alpha particles. And these are essentially cosmic rays coming out of the sun. So when they get to the ionosphere, they find a lot of electrons there, and so the electron flux is a representation of proton content when there's not enough protons to show up on the proton flux, if that makes sense. It's not a proton event, it's like a proton event light. I'm sure that's understood. Anyway, that's the electron flux. We see a little bit of charging hazard here. That'll probably go away shortly. Surface charging there around Central America and Mexico, no big deal. F2 layer is looking pretty run-of-the-mill, pretty normal F2 layer. And I don't know if any of you regular viewers look at that F2 layer on a regular basis, but that thing changes quickly. I'm not sure how often that one's updated. That's somewhere out of Australia, that data set. Here's your auroral forecasts. We have, there's the Australis. Look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. There are plenty of them watching this video. And we have 6 people up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, sound off your locations, folks. I want to know where you're at. What part of the world are you located in? I'm located in eastern Pennsylvania at this point. We call it the Lehigh Valley. The valley of the Lehigh River, named after some Indian tribe, I believe. We try to do long-form discussion on here. That's right, Korgrog Grogo. Korgrog Grogo is one of the best names. If you can say it even once, much less multiple times, you're pretty good. So here's the MNIL prediction. I don't know if this is showing you anything or not. What do you think? Is this reflecting the current data? Yeah, actually it is. It's quite accurate today. So well done, Noah. We try to give credit where credit's due. And I wanted to look at something else. Oh, the visible light. We have a tendency to do our live streams when there's X-ray flares going on. I don't know if you folks have noticed that. We've had plenty of live streams when there's X-ray flares and during coronal mass ejection events. You have to be more specific about pictures that show a dark line in the sky. I don't know what that means. Anyway, there's the visible light. That's your sunspot 2737. This is what it would look like if you looked at it through a backyard telescope with a filter. And it looks like there's another umbra building there, but it's actually the trailing umbra, which is the largest one, looks like it's shrinking, while another umbra grows to the north of it. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm pretty zoomed in. That's as far as it goes. I'll let that play through one more time. Yeah, I would say overall that's still degrading. But these things can change quickly as we see them form seemingly out of nowhere. All right, is everybody spaced out? It's awfully early in the morning. Today I got up at, I think, 1:30 or something like that. Went to bed at about 6 last night, folks. I take this stuff seriously. New viewers, if you're not aware why we make the videos, it's mainly for friends and family and for myself to view these right after I make them on a larger screen. So, yeah, this isn't a popularity contest. We're trying to crunch certain data and ignore certain nonsense all at the same time. And there's a lot of both. Anyway, there's your total electron content. This will show you things like GPS errors. In those red areas, your GPS could be off by something like 20 or 30 meters. Here in the US, we're looking at that's probably about 3 or 4 meters. And that's kind of what we consider the average standard. We consider the average standard for GPS accuracy about 3 meters when it comes to Americans. So yeah, let us know where you're located, everybody, and let us know what your GPS errors look like if you're aware. We got about 9 feet or 3 meters here in the US most of the time. That's what we considered our standard. Here are magnetosphere movies. I'll get these to load first. Here's the velocity. Let me get this so you can see the date slider. Shrink that down 1 tick. There you go. So that's the velocity. Small uptick has just occurred. We see it's more orange than red now. Makes sense. Thank you, University of Michigan. Here's the density model. Keep in mind these are models, folks. They are guesses based on a lot of measurements, and that's not playing. There we go. I think when you see parallel clouds in the sky that you think are chemtrails, that those are formed by Hall currents, cosmic ray flux, electrical current in the atmosphere, as well as things like atmospheric pressure, barometric pressure. humidity, temperature, and wind currents. If you live by an airport and you see lots of persistent contrails by an airport, it's usually because of atmospheric conditions. There's the pressure. We've got very heavy pressure on the magnetotail right now. The Earth is in a charging mode because if there's a high wind coming in and a low pressure near the bow shock, the Earth is in a charging mode, which in my opinion is a good thing for earthquakes as it makes them less likely. And let's not get into the weeds on that stuff and move on to the geospace magnetic perturbation maps. And we see some pretty big ones. Look at the poles first, as they are the location of the arrival, the location of the substration, of the elongation, of the magnetization. I think the term of the day should be magnetohydrodynamics. If you're not familiar with the term magnetohydrodynamics, please familiarize yourself, as it's going to become very, very important in the coming decade. So we see some perturbations at the poles, as we're expecting. Most of them are over the Canadian side. And here's the global version. We see a big time push in the South Pole up into the Indian Ocean. And some significant movement around Baffin Bay area, southwestern Greenland rather. And here's a place where there was a big quake. That was your 6+ magnitude. Right out toward the tip of the Aleutian Islands. Get those clouds out of here. All right. Let's just go back here as we started out. At USGS. And I don't know if you were aware or not. If you've ever viewed the channel before, you'd probably know that we love this map. This map is our favorite map. It treats us right. It treats us oh so right. On a related note, oops. How's this for a segue? Here's a video for you to watch in your spare time. All right, I don't want to get banned. We got to get Mr. T here. Here we go. All right, no bans, YouTube. 8 seconds. Call it fair use. That's real. That's not made up, folks. That's real. All right. Pardon my dry sense of humor. I know it confuses people sometimes. I don't mean it. So, got a 5.0 in Papua New Guinea. That was quite a while ago. Yesterday. And here we see a 5.0 in Indonesia at depth, portending larger quakes at the surface. And we're not going to get into the weeds on that either. I'll stay in my lane enough that it's not a convoluted mess. All right, what do we have here? One in Argentina. For some reason, not appearing on the map. Here's the location of that. Oh, it's there. It was just under the. Hey, that's pretty sweet. Look at that. I got it. It's telling me the longitude and latitude of where I'm at. How cool is that? Well done, USGS. I will leave that on there because if I turn it off, I won't know how to turn it back on. All right, what else do we have? I know there was a 6. We're getting to it. All right, here's a 4.9. That's the one I just covered. Here's a 4.7 at 512 kilometers depth. Why does this thing keep scrolling by itself? Jeez. I only pressed the button 4 times, folks. All right, 4.7 at Fiji. Very close to the islands. All right, so let's talk about New Year's Eve destinations. I think the ultimate New Year's Eve destination is not Fiji, but on this side of the international date line. So what's the best spot? You know, I want to be at the last spot to experience the new year, right? As close to the international date line as possible on a nice island. Not for any particular reason other than to do it on vacation. All right. Just reading the comments here for a moment, folks. Let that quake sink in, no pun intended, as it is at 512 kilometers depth. All right, reading comments. Do I think I can have a 2-point source interference pattern generated by gravity? No, I don't. Do I think that if the Earth is a little warmer, the atmosphere can contain and hold a greater amount of water, which cause the cloud systems to look different? Warmer or colder inherently has those effects. If you make the atmosphere warmer, it has effects like that. And if you make the atmosphere colder, it has effects like that. It makes them look different. It makes them behave differently. It's all related. But magnetic fields control it all. Grogo, isn't that caused by cosmic winds causing climate? Some of it is. Some of it is. Song redone in 2019. Treat your mother right. The song was redone by Mr. T. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Speaking of songs, here's Tilt-A-Whirl by me. Golden Cat Productions, my record label. Yeah, you guys need to not think of the weather system as just evaporation and condensate. There's more going on there. There's more going on. I mean, look up Hall currents, Birkeland currents, and Peterson currents. Those 3 types of currents are what ultimately cause Earth's weather to form in the first place. Those currents are what caused Earth to form in the first place. So if you weren't aware, things like stars and planets form on ionization pathways, and they're made out of condensed matter, just like you. You're made out of condensed matter, folks. You're not a ball of gas. Don't let anybody tell you you're spewing hot air, because you're still spewing condensed matter. All right, anyway, back to earthquakes. Here's that 6.5 we were talking about in Alaska. No tsunamis associated with this, so don't sweat it. By the way, this song is called Tilt-A-Whirl, and it's not released. You can get it no place except underneath my voice right now. Excuse me. All right, so that one was at 19 kilometers and pretty close to a volcano. It's just look at that for one moment real quick. There's a location zoomed in, and there's Kiska Island. And there is one of those volcano type devices, I think. Pretty sure that's a location. That sure looks like a volcanic island too. And that's the location of that. Let's go back. Geez, big earthquake uptick, really. Here's a 5.2 at Alaska, 4.7 at Alaska, 5.0 Papua New Guinea, 4.6, right in the same location as we had that 6. Let's hope it's an aftershock. 4.2, again, no tsunamis associated with any of those quakes. There's one right off the coast of New Zealand. Let us know if you felt that one, regular viewers. I know we have at least one New Zealand viewer. And we know some people on Instagram from cycling, and somebody's just returned to the US, so she's avoided the big one. Well done, Colleen, if you're watching. My music is generated in all kinds of different ways. Some of it's played completely live with live instruments. Some of it's played half live, half electronic. Some of it's multi-tracked. Some of it's composed. So I don't know. I don't know how to tell you anything about how it's made. It's a trade secret anyway. It's proprietary. It's worth a lot of money because it's original and I own all the rights 100%, 100% of the time. It's worth a lot of money. Does that sound emphatic enough? Here's a 5.4 on Taiwan. David Devine, you must have felt that one, dude. 5.4. Oh, wait. Are you even there right now? Ha 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 ha. David Devine, International Man of Mystery. Here's another 4.2 right by Kiska. And here's a 4.3 at Japan. Let's move on before this thing's 2 hours long. Volcanoes today. Popocatépetl must be back in commission. Tacona, we got a 7,000-foot plume there. Geez, Popocatépetl, look at that, 23,000 footer. I don't know if you're aware, these things cause global cooling. They inject sulfur into the atmosphere. Even if it doesn't get into the stratosphere, it still makes the region around the volcano cooler for a day or two, you know? The same way a nuclear cooling tower will cause a snowstorm to happen because it lowers the temperature in that part of the atmosphere. I mean, I don't know if you're aware. Let me pause this a minute. I don't know if you're aware, but if all conditions stay the same in the atmosphere and the temperature simply drops, you'll get precipitation. That's how it works. You'll reach a thing called the dew point. And so a thing like a contrail or a plume from a nuclear cooling tower or a volcano cools the planet. It all cools the planet. It doesn't warm the planet. It cools the planet. I just want to be super emphatic about that. We also have Revenador at a 16,000-foot plume, Sabancaya with continuous emissions, and Planchon Petaroa. Check out the largest citizen science project in the world, Galaxy Zoo, actually zooniverse.org. One of the projects there is Galaxy Zoo. So let's just show you how a galaxy is classified. You just click on this stuff. Is it an edge on disk? Well, no. Can you see a bar? There's a weak bar there. Is there a spiral arm pattern? Well, not really. Is there a bulge? Yeah, there's a bulge. Quick on the draw, folks. There's a bulge. I'm pausing. There's a bulge. All right. Is it merging or disturbed? Not really. It's a little disturbed. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think so. Is there a ring? No. There's some irregularity. There's some dust lane. There always seems to be some overlap. And hey, there's overlap because it's hard to look at something that's like 100 billion light years away without something in the way or behind it. There's a lot of stuff out there. So that's how you classify a galaxy. Check it out. Ignore artifacts like what you see on this here. It's probably an optical artifact. Although that one does look a little bit interesting. So we're going to classify this one too. I'm going to save the image on my local PC. And then I'm going to classify this one. It's got features. It's pretty interesting. I don't usually spend a lot of time on this segment, but hey, it'll never be now again. Is it an edge on disk? Well, no, it's not. Is there a bar? I don't think there is. If you're not familiar with a bar, it's a sign of a violent core, a violent polar core. Is there a sign of a spiral arm pattern? Yeah, there is, actually. That's what's so weird about it. It's a tight, weird spiral arm pattern. I'm going to say there's two. Please leave a comment if you think I'm hallucinating. Is there a bulge? We're going to say a moderate bulge. We're going to say there's a moderate bulge. Is it merging or disturbed? I don't think so, but there is some funky stuff on there. And what else do we see here? We're going to go with dust lane. Just dust lane, I guess. We're going to say dust lane and something else because it's a kind of an in-between, a spiral galaxy and an elliptical. Will you be the citizen scientist to classify this elliptical galaxy? Give yourself a login. Head to zooniverse.org. What else are we looking at? How about stereo A? Give us a shout out if you like this section. All right, let me go through the comments while this attempts to load. Core Grok Gogo, I don't know what a DAW is. All right, Ben Slack, welcome from Tennessee. Nice. Please, everybody, shout out your locations. I want to know where everybody is. I might give you a custom weather forecast or something. You never know. I know how to do it, believe it or not. I just try to go to the root. My digital audio workstation is my computer. I use about 85 different media manipulation softwares. I can't tell you how I make this stuff, man. Even if I could, I wouldn't. It's complicated. Really, really complicated. Oh, man. Jeez. Let's get some more frames here. Let's Let's max it out. Good night, Harry Wire. Thanks for joining us from Ontario and Victoria. Sweet. Super cool. Hey, Korgrog, are you a gamer? There actually was a coronal mass ejection facing the Earth there, folks. 100% you're able to see it there. It was right here. See that? Right there. See that? So it left the corona right around yesterday, right around when our video came out yesterday, around 9 Universal Time. So it's pretty minor. And it's a great illustration of the fact that you do not need to see an X-class flare. You don't need to see any kind of a flare. The sun can eject parts of its corona with no warning, as you see right there. Move on to the planetstoday.com. For those of you who don't normally view the video, stereo A is located in between the sun and Mars right now on the Earth's orbit. And stereo B is located on the Earth's orbit between Saturn and the sun. And they just kind of hang out there 3 months ahead and 3 months behind. And that's what we were looking at. So let's advance this 1 week. There's the planets. There's the next week. And this looks like it's the wrong data. I don't know why this was on a date other than today. Here's the location of the planets. Sorry about that. The dangers of a live stream. All right, so anyway, there's the location of the planets. And here's where they'll be in a week. I guess I didn't refresh. Coming up on a new moon. And by the way, we've got a science paper that we're going to be looking to publish pretty soon about some stuff that tinfoil hat wearers will love. Some real science about something that the moon does. Something associated with the moon-Earth environment. And it might surprise you. It might surprise you. We like to talk about ionization pathways. Excuse me. We like to talk about ionization pathways on this channel, as they're the basis of existence in a lot of ways. So yeah, you heard it here first. There's going to be a paper published, or at least submitted for publishing, about some effects of the moon on the Earth. Look for it coming up sometime this year. If you're not aware, we do have a .com now, and it is not built at all, but we have a contractor already hired, and it's going to be set up very differently pretty soon. There's also an Instagram page. Check that out. We put a lot of stuff up there, such as this one about project management. I guess it wants me to install the app. Anyway, project management. Talk about this for a minute. Any project is either going to be good and fast, but not cheap, and hence expensive. Or it's going to be good and cheap, but not fast. So it's going to take a while, but it'll be good and cheap. Or it'll be fast and cheap, but not good. Every project manager who knows what they're doing knows this. So if somebody asks you to do something and they would like it done fast, good, and cheap, please draw this Venn diagram for them and make sure it doesn't intersect in the very center. Because nothing is good, fast, and cheap. That's the imaginary zone. You're in a zone not only of sight and of sound, but of mind. And if you think there's anything good, fast, and cheap, you're in the imaginary zone. If you want me to do it good and fast, you're going to pay me a lot of money for it. Cheers. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. It's killer. Here's some screwing around that we like to do. We're here, we're not queer, and we certainly can't screen share. We're here, we're not queer, and we certainly can't screen share. Doing a little bit different stuff today, folks. Talking about Google software. Google, please fix your software, as the screen sharing feature doesn't work. Now, I am able to show you this, but only because I can access it through a browser. I can't use any other programs in this broadcast, but I can show you my own broadcasts. Yeah, so we won't tune in. Man, lots of videos up there, folks, so check it out. Also, we have a minds.com page. Please join us there. Minds.com likes to not track you. Oh, and also one other thing. What do you think of the new icon? The new avatar, whatever you call it. Avatar, icon. See, I put a 171 angstroms colored magnetogram, 304 angstroms, and flatogram image behind my little yelling match between me and the bald eagle here. What do you think? You want a camera on the moon to see the phases of the Earth? That would be a good idea. The phases of the Earth. All right, yeah, so anyway, we're also on Minds. If you'd like a social media outlet that does not censor or shadow ban, gives you the ability to trade Ethereum cryptocurrency. Now, keep in mind, forum moderators will still censor you. But anyway, minds.com, we have a page there, minds.com/mashomash. We've also started a nonprofit organization that is to study things like the Earth-Sun connection, the Sun-Galaxy connection, and beyond, the galaxy versus galaxy connections, such as Cygnus A and the Andromeda Galaxy, and you name it. We're going to be studying it. And there are actually 3 scientific papers in the works right now. And I can't even tell you what the theories are because it needs to be a breakthrough when it comes out. It may not affect your daily life, but it will affect the understanding of the science, we hope. So anyway, we made sure we got the smAshomash.com and the smAshomash.org websites so that nobody tries to out-brand us on our own brand. There's also a Twitter page. This is done by the smAsho staff. As I don't tweet. I don't have a Twitter account, and I never have, but you're going to see the daily videos to make it a little easier for you to share them with your peeps. Public service message. Treat your mother right, even if she sucks at life. All right, let's not put more than 8 seconds of that up there at a time. By the way, if you're into cycling, check out VeloShop. Let's talk about helmets. It's the veloshop.net, by the way. Now, some people might try to tell you wearing helmets is uncool. All right? These things are pretty sturdy. All right? I've broken 2 of these. One on the grill of a truck and one on a road where I crashed unexpectedly on a pothole, just riding, not paying attention at 10 miles an hour, hit a pothole. Actually, I hit a tiny piece of gravel, and I was riding a bike I wasn't used to, smacked my head on the ground, broke a helmet right in half, and I didn't sustain any kind of a debilitating head injury. I sustained nothing except a broken scapula and a clavicle that looked like a bag of gravel. But besides that, no head injuries. So now in Pennsylvania, it's the law to wear a helmet if you're under 12 years of age, believe it or not. I know in places like Australia, there are helmet laws, period. Anyway, the veloshop.net's got a great line. If you feel like ordering one, hook it up. I'm actually in the market right now, even though I own about 5 helmets that I use regularly for various things. I'm in the market for one like this, a skate type helmet that you could also use as a snowboard helmet or whatever. The only thing is I don't think it has a goggle retention in the back, and so I can't use it. Make sure you get a goggle retention if you need one. I need a new snowboard helmet. It's getting bought before this coming winter. I like the graphics. They match my other gear, but sadly, there's no retention. Anyway, let's go back to the sun. Talk about that. We'll look at it in a different view here, and we'll update it to make sure we have the most current. See, that's 45 minutes right there. And look at the 94 angstrom view. Let's full screen this so I can zoom in as much as I can. Yes, I know it looks strange, but this is how you have to do it. If you're open on this page, you will not be able to full screen. I think the software might be defective, folks. Excuse me. So there you have Sunspot 2737 at 94 angstroms. We do see some activity rising there in the southeast. You can probably see that. Let's zoom all the way out. There's the date stamps. You can see that's just today. So we are looking for phi angles that are around 180 degrees. A quick update on the real-time solar wind here. I'm just going to hit refresh because I don't trust this thing to work properly. So no phi angle on the 180 line, but I would say the earthquake risk is about as high as it gets. We're in one of those zones that we draw in most days on the maps. I would be prepared. We still haven't seen a 7. So it may be helpful to know which portions of buildings are going to fall off if you get a 7 or 8 magnitude earthquake. Looks like we caught a sprite again. Let's check that out. Not sure what that was. Incidentally, if you have any questions or comments, now will be the time because we are out of here. Checking the comments. Let me give you one more view here. Let's look at the flatogram. I think that's the one. No, that's too flat. I think I might have it zoomed out a little too much, folks. I think that's the one we're looking for. That's a good analytical view of the Sunspot group. It still looks like it's degrading to me. So yeah, we're not going to be getting into things like entropy universe on this video. Maybe we'll do one later on that. But if you're not familiar, we have a Facebook page called Entropy Busters. You may be interested in checking that out, as we only put up posts. We only put up posts designed to crush entropy, and we're mainly talking about human entropy here, such as ignorance. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, donors, especially. We are in business because of you donors. It makes a huge difference. $1 makes a huge difference. We got a Patreon page. We've got a PayPal. You'll see all the links in the description. And we are expanding the operation in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. So if you think we're screwing around, think again. It's very, very serious. And it's getting more serious, actually. We don't look for responsibility. Responsibility finds us because we can handle it. And secondly, I don't butt in line. People ask me to report to the front of the line. And sometimes I oblige them. And that's part of the reason why this channel exists. I was looking for certain data and certain analysis, and I didn't see it on the internet, so I did it myself, and that's what this channel is. So if you like it, subscribe, hit like, etc. Check the links. Get involved, leave a comment. Tell your friends, share on social media. And I expect to be back later this afternoon, so cheers. It'll never be now again, so may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.